Now back on that private sector source of funding, where are these coming from? The funds coming from Middle East, from Western Europe?
Well, I mean, there's been quite a lot of fanfare and, say, dancing around the fire, I would say, with Middle East investors in the last 2 years, particularly since many Middle East investors caught a bad cold. They were badly damaged by the crisis of 2008, because much of their investments were in the London and New York stock exchanges and so on. So they were heavily invested there now, and that turned some of them to look at places like Indonesia. But as of today, very little has happened. There's some things probably coming up in the pipeline, but that's 2 years ago, and many people who have come here from the Middle East have actually not got to grips, and I think there's a gap somewhere between their understanding of Indonesia and Indonesia understanding their requirements.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been a great success yet. No.
But you yourself, you sit on the board of the Nusantara structure that operate toll road, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But you must have some sort of success story in that toll road.
But we have. We've expanded every year in doing that, and intend to invest even further in that. I mean, we have a rights issue coming up shortly, and from that we will expand not only in the toll road sector, but we'll be looking at other areas of infrastructure and overseas as well.
But the sort of ROI they expected of the investment on that toll road project is conducive. In your point of view, from the
the real problem is that most people with money like to come in when the risk is reduced and the project is built.
Okay.
And yet the highest value is in the risk part. That's taking the project through development. And we've got to try and encourage some of private sector people to take that risk. And even if they only have a limited time that they lend money out for, whether it's 3 to 7 years or whatever, they can even go for an IPO. That mechanism is not really fully developed properly, and it would benefit Indonesia a lot if it were.
Still hanging there. No, back to you, Slava. I was told there are two things. One is an ESCAP conference, and then there will be follow-up with infrastructure conference and exhibition. So the government or regional forum will be first, right?
The APMC, the Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Public-Private Partnerships, is on the 17th of April.
Oh, it's 17th as well.
The event ends on APMC. The 2 days before are Infrastructure Asia.
Okay.
There are three events who are really in conjunction with each other here.
All right.
Infrastructure Asia is exhibition, which is 4 days, starting on the 14th through to the 17th of April. And then Infrastructure Asia Conference, where we discuss most of the Asia-Pacific infrastructure needs and solutions. And it starts on the 14th and ends on the 17th with APMC.
I see. Okay, that's how the structure is.
Yes.
Now on the conference itself, on the regional conference, this is a UN conference. ESCAP is a UN conference?
It is with support of UNISCAP.
That's right.
Yes.
So
UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific.
Right. So there will be, surely will be coming ministers from individual countries?
Yes, they are. A few of the countries in Asia Pacific have already sent their ministerial registration. Some of them, I can name some of them if you would like me to.
Sure,
Samoa, Tajikistan, Timor-Leste, Vanuatu, India, South Korea, Turkey, Malaysia, Russia.
China?
Their members. China is not sending a representation at this conference, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
But they have a large meeting of their own, which is very close to the dates here, which is one of the internal. But
so that's the main reason they couldn't.
Well, whatever they were doing that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are countries from Europe coming as well to this as well. UNESCAP's got a membership of how many
53 countries are
53
members
countries.
of UNESCAP, including US, UK, and several European countries as well.
US and UK is also member.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's
Yeah.
quite a large support from the US, is there not?
Yes, there is, especially on behalf of the banking system and the funds, the infrastructure funds of US.
Yes.
There will be the vice president of Exim Bank will be speaking at the conference, including board of directors, Diane Farrell. We have many representatives of the private sector of US, the president of GE, John Krenicky, the vice president of Intel Corporation, John Davis. So US is represented specifically in the renewable energy side and ICT industries heavily.
So how many sectors are going to be broken down into? You have
according to UNESCAP's documentation from the years before, the PPPP in infrastructure is discussed in four main sectors: energy infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, ICT, information technologies and telecommunication, and water and sanitation.
Water and sanitation.
These are the four critical national infrastructure industries that every country around the world looks at first. We have a track also dedicated to healthcare and education because we also value the side of social infrastructure.
And it's vital to Indonesia too.
Yeah. On your observations, Scott, among the 4 or 5, which one is most important now for Indonesia?
The whole lot, to be quite frank. But I mean, the sectors which seem to attract investment relate to power and transportation. Although Indonesia is a signatory to the Millennium Development Goals, which are supposed to be realized in the next 5 years, and is one of the countries with the biggest needs for development in that. There's a lot to be done. A lot could be done at what I call local government level and engagement at local government, because once you get outside, well, even the cities have a problem, but there's very little development in the rural or semi-rural areas.
Thank you. We have a short commercial break and then should be coming back after a few minutes. Thank you.